Good evening, everybody. My name is Kathy Vaness. I'm so glad to be here and get the great privilege to interview our very own Annharriet Buck. There's nobody more special than Annharriet, and we're going to have a fun time talking to her tonight. Annharriet has been associated with the Golden Door for over 35 years. She holds a degree in psychology from the University of Utah, where she also trained in educational psychology. She's done extensive psychological training at UCLA, the Menninger Foundation, the San Francisco Jung Institute, and the Academy for Guided Imagery. Annharriet is certified in coaching happiness and in coaching Enneagram?
The Enneagram,
Thank you. By British psychologist and author Robert Holden. Annharriet recently studied mindfulness with Stanford's Mark Abramson, positive psychotherapy with faculty at Harvard University, and she created this magical week of inner wisdom at Golden Door that continues to be one of our most important 2 weeks of the year, and something we're quite proud of. But tonight, instead of talking about all the things Annharriet teaches us, we're going to ask Annharriet some questions about Annharriet. We're going to start from the beginning. So relax and smile and enjoy, because there's some great questions. But we're going to be basic to start.
Okay.
Where were you born, Miss Annharriet?
I was born in Ithaca, New York.
Near the lakes up there?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Keuka Lake, are those lakes?
Yes,
All, yes,
yes.
it's Indian cunning.
Yes.
Can you describe your home and neighborhood?
Well, I grew up, when I was 2, we moved to Pennsylvania, to Bucks County. And my father had a furniture store, and we rode bikes in the street and had a neighborhood group, and you know, we're really happy kids. No technology, just...
I love that. That's so important today. I'd like that to be more today. What was your first vivid memory as a child?
My neighbor, Mary Shelley, she came down on the porch, and I was on the ground, and we looked at each other, and she said she was 4, and I said I was 4.5, and we decided we'd both say we were 4.
Oh my gosh.
Most vivid memory. And I've seen Mary Shelley recently. You know, to be connected to somebody who knew you back then, you know, when you were goofy, to be able to be authentic with somebody who's known you that long is a real gift.
A real gift. And what an honor you got to go back and sort of laugh about that great time, right?
Yeah.
That's very special.
Yeah.
What kind of games did you play as a child?
Well, we played, we decided we wanted to earn money. So we took a record, 78, and we went to the neighbors and we said, do you have a record player? And they would go digging around and get the record player out and put the thing on. And then we would start the music, and we would go like this for the entire record, and then we would say, that will be 10 cents.
What? What were you selling?
Our performance.
No way, that's so brilliant.
Yes, and so I came home with all this money, and my mother said, where did you get the money? And I told her, very proud, you know, where we got it. She sent me back. I had to give every dime back to every person. So that was the end of that career.
The dancing
that was kind
career.
of my earliest career.
Yeah. So who are your heroes?
Besides you?
Well, yeah, you've got lots of heroes. Let's think.
Because you have saved the Golden Door.
Thank you so much. I'm honored that you say that.
She has saved us. And it really means a lot. My heroes. Well, I have to say, I just left a workshop with Daniel Goleman, who wrote the book Emotional Intelligence, and to be able to sit and hear the words come out of his mouth really meant a lot to me. And Thich Nhat Hanh, you know, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk who's written over 100 books on mindfulness.
And you studied with him, right?
I did. I've studied with him frequently. He's now had a stroke, so we won't get to, you know, study with him in the same way. But people would say to me, what did you learn from Thich Nhat Hanh? And invariably, it was nothing verbal. It was all nonverbal. It was watching him move across the stage so mindfully And then the other wonderful thing, he would allow people to bring children to the workshop, and they would all sit right in the front in the very beginning, and he would talk to them. And the adults were all in the back. And he would say these just simple little things, and the adults are all in the back going like this because it was so exquisitely simple. And then when he finished, in about 10 minutes, he would have the children all stand up and turn to the adults and bow and leave the room, and it was great. It was great.
You know, when you think back where you are today, when you were a young girl, what did you want to be when you wanted to grow up? What was your first thought? Your journey has been so magical.
Well, in kindergarten, I was really good at singing When the Red, Red Robin Comes Bobbing Along. I don't know. It took until I was in junior high when I decided I wanted to take dance lessons, which was old to start dancing. You know, usually you start much younger. And I loved it. So when I went to college, I picked a school that offered dance, and but knew I wanted to major in psychology. And that was because we used to get the Sunday New York Times, and once a year they would print the 50 neediest cases in New York. And I would read every one of them and say, I want to help those people. That's what I want to do.
Oh, that's great. So you imagined your goal. You imagined your goal.
Well, yes and no, because now I'm here in California instead of New York. Do you want me to trace it for you, or are you going to ask me another question?
You go ahead.
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing great.
So I learned a lot about residence halls when I was in school, because I worked in college. I worked in the residence halls. So when I finished college, my first job was as an assistant dean of students. I ran 8 residence halls. And because I knew it, I'd been studying it for 6 years. And I got tired of academia and decided to run the health club, where I was a member, because dance, so movement and psychology were always something I tried to pull together before it was ever popular. And I got to the health club, which was vibrator belts and rollers. Remember those? Some of you. And because I was trained in psychology, I observed and realized that for any woman, losing 5 pounds was worth 6 months of therapy in terms of self-esteem. Right?
Yeah, for
Feel
sure.
better about yourself.
Yeah.
So I thought, gee whiz, something psychological is happening in a health club. And I was reading about spas at the time and kept reading about the Golden Door. And I thought, wait a minute, if something psychological is happening in this little health club in upstate New York, I bet something psychological is happening at the Golden Door too, and I would really like to work there. So in those days, the directors of health spas were Scandinavian women who'd been trained in PE. There were 5 health spas: the Golden Door, Main Chance, the Greenhouse, Bonaventure, and one other one I don't remember. But I only wanted to work at the Golden Door, so I spent 3 years gathering credentials. I sent my resume to Deborah. She said, there are no jobs, but you sound interesting, come and visit. And she hired me on the spot. She created a job for me, and 4 months later I became the director.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
But I'd had photographs cut out of magazines of the Golden Door for 3 years prior to coming
So your
here.
intent was very
And
clear.
when I came here and had my interview, I knew kind of more about this place than most of the people who interviewed me.
Are you kidding?
Because it was a passion, and still is.
Yeah, it still is.
And still
we always
is.
see that in you, always.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about you're a part of our family, and you've been such a part of our family for so long, what's a family tradition that you still treasure or cherish today that you do?
coffee in the morning on the front porch with my husband, watching the deer in the front yard.
Before the sheep are getting there.
The sheep aren't there
They're
yet.
not there yet. So here's a bit of a question as I'm going to take you to where you are today. If a millennial came to you and asked you what's the most important thing about living a good life, what would you say? Knowing the millennials so different than every other generation.
Treasure and embrace exactly who you are. Celebrate it. Don't feel like you need to follow anybody else's drummer. Follow your own.
You know, one of the most amazing, I just saw you do it for the first time, unfortunately, that was also, fortunately, your 4-year-old sort of story. That is seriously powerful. Yeah. I must admit, I was at a meeting in a very complicated group, and I thought of you, and I borrowed it.
Did you?
I did. I almost memorized almost the way you had delivered it. And I did it with this very, very, very important, complicated group. Not maybe about this big, but not quite. And
we just did it today.
You did, right? You've been also talking. It was incredible what happened in minutes in that room. And I thought of you the whole time. How proud you would be to see how you affected these people's lives, and you weren't even there. Do you know what I'm saying? It was amazing. It was amazing.
I do. Thank you. You know, thank you for taking it forward. I really appreciate that.
No,
it's so meaningful to me because it teaches the difference between ego and honoring who you are.
Yeah, it was really very endearing.
And if that little girl were in front of us right now, of course we would take care of her. And it wouldn't be about selfishness, and it wouldn't be about ego. It would be because she deserves it.
Yeah, it was very powerful. And I remembered every single word. And how powerful it was. And we were in Aspen together. We had like some fun in Aspen looking at the beautiful mountains. If you won $1 million bucket of stuff, cash tomorrow, what would you do with the money?
I would find people in need and share it with them. I really believe in the importance of being able to look people in the eye, the people that you would like to have a positive impact on, to be able to see their face. You know, it's one thing to write a check, and it's wonderful to write a check, but to be able to see the faces of people that you're having a little bit of an impact on, when you lie in bed that night, you know, your heart is just warmed by that. And so that would come first. That would come first.
I love that. So I like the way they feel about what we do with children, right? Mm-hmm. When you think of all of the guests that you've affected over the last so many years here at Golden Door.
39, yeah.
Gosh, I always say 35, 39, and 40. Let's just round it off and make it 40. It's going to be 40. Is there something that you see that we could do for ourselves that we don't do for ourselves? Do you know what I mean? When you look at sometimes some trauma and some sadness, and some people, you know, is there some one gift that we could give ourselves that we don't give ourselves daily?
Yes, I think to be less hard on ourselves and to assess how much of our behavior is being driven by fear, and do whatever it takes to understand why that is, fix it, and move forward driven by fearlessness, not fear.
But in this world today, fear is worse. It's gotten worse, not better. The trusting of other people is lower than ever before. I'm quite frustrated by it because my innocence and humbleness about people has yet to change. I don't have all that sort of fear. But when you talk to so many people today, they do. How can we help our young people not think that this is the way we really should be? We're this wonderful world. Do you know I'm sort of, we're going.
Yeah, I just, as I said, attended a workshop with Daniel Goleman, and one of the most interesting parts of it were the other people who were there, because a lot of them were young people. And they were also at this workshop, and they were very proud of the fact that they'd started companies that teach teachers how to teach young children mindfulness.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
There was one wonderful story about in Chicago, an elementary school class was asked, how many of you know someone who was shot? And almost every hand went up. And so they had them lie down on the floor and gave them stuffed animals and had them put the stuffed animal on their chest and watch the animal rise and fall as they used their breath to calm themselves. And so these things are happening in elementary schools because the teachers are being taught. And that gives me great hope.
Yeah, I agree.
That and the fact that I have stopped watching television.
Well, I would have to agree with that one.
4 months ago.
Yeah, I agree. I did too.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep I like in my own family keeping the innocence of the love of life.
Yes.
And not to have a life of anger.
Yeah, and I think you know, it's one moment at a time, one person at a time. I truly believe in that. And you know, what an honor it is to spend a week with people who will go back to so many different places in the country and in the world and do the same thing we're doing, which is one little step at a time, being a role model for people who work for you and people who come to you as clients. And if they know that you are meditating, they will meditate.
And if they know if you're joyous, they can be joyous.
Yes.
And if they know that you celebrate, they can celebrate.
Yes. If they know it's important to take care of that innocent piece of themselves, other people will know it too.
What inspires you?
Deborah Zake.
She's pretty
You
special.
know, 95 years old and never stops, and created this originally, but this is just one of many things she created. And then moved on and created something else. So she inspires me a great deal. Yeah, I would start there. Do you want more?
It's up to you. Do you have another? We're always loving to hear.
They inspire me.
I love that.
The guests inspire me.
The guests are inspirational.
You know, the courage to come here and be vulnerable in our arms and allow us to participate in a little step forward that you want to make in your life. What an honor that is. It is such an honor. It means so much to me, to you, to all of the staff. You know, I have great gratitude for the guests.
I do too. Every week. Seeing their lives from Sunday to Sunday is sheer magic every week. Hard to explain. As you know, I just spent 7 days trying to explain it. It's not easy. You have to actually experience it. It's not easy to explain.
It's true. It's very hard to go home and explain what this was about.
Very hard.
Because as I've said before, you get here, you check your jewelry, you check your makeup, you check your title, you check your wardrobe, you're tired, you're sore, you're hungry.
That's right.
You know? And so it's just us girls for the week, or girls and guys, or guys. And the authenticity of the conversation starts so quickly because of that. It's really fun to see.
So the perfect segue, what do you do for fun?
Spend time with my husband, spend time with dogs, our dogs.
I'm going to ask one of my questions to ask you about your pets.
I believe dogs are amazingly spiritual. They understand unconditional love like very few of us do.
They do.
And so
tell me about your pets.
My
Tell me about your pets.
My pets. Well, I have 2 dogs now. One is a border collie who is crazy about me. I mean, he waits at the window for me to get home. He's supposed to be my husband's herding dog. My husband comes in, the dog goes around him straight to me.
Could be a problem.
And
with the
has
heat.
for 2 years. I said, so we got a dog for me, which is a little,
I know. It's
yes,
on
a
my,
little
I know.
miniature American Eskimo, crazy about my husband. Around me, straight to my husband. So
Really?
It's a strange kind of setup, but
It's the cutest
it works.
dog. What was your very favorite vacation? You've had
My
to have-
honeymoon,
Really? Tell me. Where'd you go? How did you meet your husband?
Hawaii. We went to Hawaii. I met my husband on the dance floor
You dance still.
after having worked. I always worked late at the Golden Door. I always had dinner with the guests 5 nights a week. And I lived on the beach, so I would drive home, and you know, after work, you can't go straight to bed. So I would stop and go dancing with my gay neighbor. And one day he said to me, "You've got to come dancing because these guys have shown up and they all wear Panama hats and they all have jobs." "And they're really cute," says he. "But there's one in particular you have to meet." So I walked in a week or so later, and I saw Michael on the dance floor, dancing, curly hair, big smile, 6'4", and I said to myself, "Boy, I hope that's the one." And it was.
Oh my gosh.
It was.
That's
It
such a
was
great
that.
story.
And you know, you hear these stories that you know immediately. You look, and I thought, well, not me. I'm 39 and still single. Yeah. Ladies, have hope.
Do not give up.
Always have hope.
Always have hope. If you could use one word to describe yourself, what would the word be?
Lucky.
Ah, why so lucky?
Look
I
at where
know.
I sit.
I know.
Look at who I get to sit with. Lucky.
I love that word. If you could write a message to our guests and put it in a time capsule to read 20 years from now, what would you write? That's a good one, huh, girls? I can't wait to hear what this is. If you could put a message in a time capsule and save it for each guest for 20 years from tonight, what would the message be?
You've always been perfect, and you still are.
That's a good message. You hear that? It's a great message. So, but at the end, first of all, I want to say thank you for having fun with me tonight.
Thank you.
Because we wanted to learn something about Annharriet, because we don't know, and we love her so much. But at the end, I'm going to leave questions and answers, of course. At the end of all of our interviews, there's one question we ask everybody, and that is, if you could give our guests, which you're going to get many, so it's kind of an unfair week. You're going to get a lot of golden nuggets while
It's
you're here.
not what's your favorite swear word,
No.
is it?
Those I promise you won't get too many. What would be the one golden nugget tonight you would be able to give our guests? A golden nugget is something they can take home mentally.
Tonight.
Or sometimes we've actually printed it up and delivered it to your rooms. What's your golden nugget, Miss Annharriet?
Just, you know,
That's a good one.
I've been giving you a lot of golden nuggets here, you know.
I know, that's what I said. They're going to get a double whammy.
One more capsule, and
Remember, everybody's going to get it too. Not only will they get it, but it'll be on film. Everybody will get it.
how much I love you. How much you make my heart sing.
That's a great golden nugget, Miss Annharriet.